Hello everybody. I hope you all are doing well. We are back at the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So I had to stop here. A very unfitting place to stop, but we'll continue off now. Exactly. Alright, just to let everybody know, we just revealed that our cop friend had just moved the scene of the crime off his side of the street to another police officer's side of the street. But that way, he doesn't have to deal with it, and we're kind of concluding on that matter of fact right now. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminals could still be looking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did it have to happen here? And why tonight? Of all nights? Why? This poor woman. It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then when I opened my mouth to speak. It just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you'll have to go to the police box that covers it, turn right along Meersham Street, and then... So she deliberately told her the wrong one. Or that it wasn't part of her street. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted, just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, Raleigh. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, the evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. You see, I thought, well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon? Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor woman out there freezing in the cold pavement. Ah, I see your meaning now. But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought from Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh no, Rolly, that was my fault. I should have never dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total? Oh, 4 it was, yes, sir. Definitely 4. 3 of them dropped from by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in Garrett household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the other ones were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. How did you find it? What do you mean? When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh, yes, sir, no doubt about it, sir. Interesting. So a book entitled Lion's Pride was in the victim's hand when the Mrs. Beat first ran over to see what happened. Alright, so the big question really is, how is the knife in her back? Did it literally just fall from the window? Is that really what happened? I thought it was an open shut case at the time, you see. There were only 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who done it, I thought. I couldn't see harm, really. I don't think moving it over the road would make a jot of a difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it. My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zeeks. I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him? For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. Alright then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir? Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may be. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson into your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. Oh, he's still a cop. Good. Never again, sir? You mean to say... Leave, now. This trial is not yet over. Oh, he does have a soft side to him. Yes, sir! Oh, he does have a heart. Well, it's quite startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party translating the entire scene of the crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here, principally. That the accused, Mr. Saseki Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there's someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of the possibility already. Lord Van Zeeks, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, and if any further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. Oh gosh, I have a feeling this entire part was just so we can have Mrs. Garrett be witness at the testimony. That's all it was.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request a cross-examination of a new witness. My lord? See, it was all just to get her up there. Once again, my assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it is imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joanne Garrett. Me? How dare you me?
Objection!
That request has already been denied. But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garrett, answer me this. What do you want to know, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. Joanne Garrett. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks but over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open top-hinged casement, the book plummeted directly down. Finding its way what we know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you find you laid your hands on. So let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrett. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? Ugh. I don't recall. He's lying. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up through my husband? And anyway, the man over there in all regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No. I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4. Oh. Make no mistake. You jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home, but if one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Mrs. Garrett? Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe in all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I injured someone, did you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on it being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife, if that's what you think. Come along now, chop chop, do your worst. Well, Mr. Nahuda, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh. Prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm going to have to testify? Sorry, I don't know. My voices with her is kind of laying between two. Juror number 4, as I'm sure you will appreciate having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimonies can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truth of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware of. Oh dear me. So I demand your full, unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrett. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Oh my goodness, what a long journey just to get to this part. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Oh, I can't believe we're finally here at this part. I feel like we're nearing the end of this. Oh, yes. My name is Joanne Garridib, and I'm, well, I'm a juror, and such like... It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You would tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh, dearie me. Shut up, Joanne. Nothing to worry about. Oh, I knew you'd be here. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. Alright, so we got a book here. Was it only you in the room that day, old thing? What? But I think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, darling? Don't you worry about that. Hardly noticed it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary actions alone. Oh, John. I presume you are Mr. John Garrett. Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action, now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Why, well, yes, quite. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of British court. Calling a jury to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, court will hear your testimony. Now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You'll recount clearly, concisely, the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. Alright, the Battle of the Garrett Tip. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reasons now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon headed out, though, and the window opened. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed that 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that bodily thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. Alright, we're reaching the end, I know it, I feel it. It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. I had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we would have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat to wish to go away from death at any moment. Are we still talking about the marital quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light in the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such as that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. Banziks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruto. Yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. I'm getting my voices between that guy and the judge mixed up, but oh well. Yes, on the day you were referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Hold it! The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked in the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garrett. A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mr. Garrett had found the note discovering her... Mrs. Garrett had found the note discovering her husband's little secret. And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What sort of sordid state of affairs? Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such a thing, it's common decency not to jack it up at all. And besides, half of it was wide of mark anyway. A likely story. These waters run very deep. And what transpires next after that multiple blows to the face? Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the cupboard. Soon had it out though, and the window got the window open. Kind of fun to talk that way. And the fire also spread to some items of the furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. Just so happens that there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about and put it out. A most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water main isn't connected yet. Your water from a public water pump during the day if you need anything, you see? The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get enough water at night. Although, that little mustache Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. The defendant Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? He is not well off. I believe he uses all of his income to buy books. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Alright, nothing wrong here. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to threaten him. Even though the room was on fire. As far as I'm concerned at that time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a Sosato takedown, Mr. Naruto. How does she know what I was thinking? So please, cast your mind back and try to remember. Was the knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall, but I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge, a napkin. I think he has something other to say than that. Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garadeb. Oh yeah, don't shoot. Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon. Did you hear wife's remark just now bring something to your mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just a little barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, the fire poker I seem to recall. Ouch. The woman's aim is uncanny. She landed directly. Good grief, woman. We're not at home anymore. This is a court of law. Oh, dear me. Ever so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with that teapot in here? Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Well, have a look at this, then. How do you suppose this happened? Your pipe, sir? I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. But when I picked that thing up, it was broken in two, like a sponge to do sort of damage. I see, your pipe was broken. It would never have been set for lying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I managed to bandage the thing up for now. Ah, you're one exaggerated, aren't you, dear? I wonder what she would make of this account. Let's say it's significant, sure. I don't know much about pipes, but it's hard to see how what Mr. Garadeb just said could be of any really significance. I'm sorry, did I choose the wrong thing? I chose the wrong thing, didn't I? I'm gonna go back into that. Meanwhile, speaking of it, yeah, I accidentally choose insignificant. I thought I read it as significant. Alright, let's get back to that one part. Let's see, some bread. Okay, there it is. There we go. Let's go repeat this again and try to skip as many dialogue as possible. Because I should just pick the top option. Because yeah, I mean, there was really only one time you would say, nah, not important, or no, I have nothing to say. There was only one time, and that was in like the original Ace Attorney trilogy. I'm not really gonna say what it was, but pretty much I feel like 90% of the time you just have to choose, yes, there is something wrong, or yes, I do have something to present, or yes, I know who did it. Oh goodness, my throat. It's fun doing the voice for Garadeb, but my throat is being punished for it. There we go. It could be important. The defense believes Mr. Garadeb's remarks just now to be a great significance. Objection! This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes as well as heart may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. There you go. I'm missing his pipe as evidence, apparently. Let's take a look at it. Alright, so we got his pipe here. Oh, is there something in here? Oh my goodness. The tip of the knife itself is in this pipe. How does he not notice? Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What is this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. Tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. It's literally just been in there the whole time. Well, here's the tip of the blade. It looks like it broken off from this side. This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mrs. Garridib's pipe. It looks like the tip of the blade or something. The tip of the blade. Okay, yeah, we're saying the same thing. Alright, we got the fragment of metal. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request that was turned down. Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to you, Sasato, we have some new evidence that we can look over carefully. Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Garridib. Now, if we could return the crux of the matter, what can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Let's see. Plenty of old knives around the place. Can't say I ever noticed one or two went missing, I'm afraid. And that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours. You have a good of a job proving that. Alright, let's just press him. Because if I jump the gun, I'm gonna lose lives for no reason to waste time. Sorry, what would you care to elaborate? Nothing to say, really. Rather partial to a spot of carving, you see. Pipes and whatnot, fishing tackle. You know what, the sort of thing. It's a passion we both share. I like to carve a little wood trinkets too. And there's a little leatherwork. Sorry to say, there's always using knives about the place. We have a dozen of those things. We sell them at the market sometimes, 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, I snap them up. John prefers to use 2 knives at mealtimes too, instead of a knife and fork. No, Duer, we don't want people knowing about on some kind of stuff. Here we go again with the scolding. Why are we being so evasive? I imagine it's because they don't want to believe it. They can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim. Which is entirely understandable, of course, but still. Go on with your testimony, witnesses. Sir! If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you have a job proving it, I think. So you have no intention of admitting that it was your knife unless we can prove it. Even though there was no other credible possibility if Natsume is innocent? So you forget, my Nipponese friend, that it has yet to be established that the accused is not responsible for the attack. As if I could forget, if there was some way to know who had handled the knife, I suppose wizardry like that is in the dream. Perhaps you think you have fingerprinting, Mr. Naruto? What do you mean? It's not a dream? What sort of wizardry really exists? Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique pattern from the skin, or so they say. But I can't see anything. Wait, do we really have fingerprints during this time? There are already countries in our world where these so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. Lord Strongheart is currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice. Yes, I believe we're rapidly approaching an era of scientific methods of investigation. But for now, we shall have to find an alternative method for proving our assertion that this knife found in the victim's back was originally in Mr. Garridib's house. If only I could transplant the whole incident to several years in the future. Alright, well, I know exactly what to say, so let's just skip this part. Alright, yeah, I think we're literally just gonna reach the end here. I know I'm about to really go over, but I'm gonna keep this. We'll finish this video. Oh, well, I can't say what I'm saying. My throat hurts. We will stop when this chapter stops. Oh, because I did it again, didn't I? I need water. Maybe that's what's happening to me. So yeah, I won't stop the video until we're done with this case. And it's pretty much near the end. Oh, that's some good water. I needed that water right now. Oh no, I didn't open this water. I can't open it with one hand. Alright, let's not mess up again. Alright, there we go. If that Polly thing in the victim's pack really was one of ours, you have a job proving it, I think. Well, sir, may I show you this fragment of metal? Mr. Garrett, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a Polly thing. You can't. Used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment of the course, but that was some time ago. Now he has actual dead eyes. Okay. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I sure to tell B from a D and a P from the Q, to be quite honest. Oh, he does, dearie me. It's rather wearing being asked about every other letter in every other word. He must D, very does he? What is that? A tiny screwy piece of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got in. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is some way related to the matter of the stabbing of Briar Road? I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of the case, my lord. Oh my gosh, I didn't notice his robe is on fire too. He never changed his robe. You appear rather confident in the extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of the entire case?
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. I have a feeling this knife never really went in the victim's back. There was like no signs of blood or anything. A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in the victim's bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate now, lingers somewhere near the spine of the victim. No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. Ah! Oh, he finally made a relaxation. Good grief, Lord Van Zeeks! I don't believe it! The knife from the crime scene and the fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Order! Order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle? So Van Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain the extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent testimony. I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, did she? It would have never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between those two that occurred, just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Gerdzeb flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Gerdzeb, instead striking the pipe at his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord. Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Gerdzeb's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. And there's no other credible explanation of how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Gerdzeb's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the streets below. Gosh, oh dear, no!
Objection!
Oh great, one last thing. What do you guys say? Full body theory. I give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his arguments. Sorry? Please, don't tell me there is more. But after all, this is just a theory. The bottle I fear is corked. Because you see, it's split by an unsurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable? What? Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to identify? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back. I mean, that's not hard to believe. She bent down, grabbed the book, the knife stabbed her in the back. Yes, in her... That's right, you silly little man. Now, Joanne, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let's consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. The knife that struck her had fallen from above. There's no possible way it could have planted itself in the victim's back. Yeah, I mean, there is. She had to pick up the book, right? I just noticed Mrs. Gerdzeb standing on the box. Order! Order! Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen from around above, it would have struck her in the top of her head. Well, he's lost for words. Look. I knew it. I never liked this theory of his in the first place. Don't know, though. What really did happen? It would appear that the defense has made rather a spectacular blunder. Every theory has even one inconsistency cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. Now, there is something. Don't give up. We were so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. Mr. Sato. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruto. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way to present itself is there. The key to this is the courtroom record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there. It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her head in the middle of her back. I read that really weird. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the courtroom that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness! Utter madness! Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is it, the last consistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back. Save just in case, because I don't have any time to waste anymore at this recording. Let's save. And I'm very certain, I'll be surprised if I get it wrong, it's this book.
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. Print book? Is that not Mr. Gerardev's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in the question. The victim holding it in her hand. As we know, well known now, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so. As part of the whole state transplanting of the scene. The opposite side of the road. I've completely lost my voices. That's true, however. As part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement at that point. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to this scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd be doing much anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh, dearie me. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Gerardev's house on the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment, the young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book I threw. Yes, Mrs. Gerardev, and what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of your pavement, on the pavement? Oh, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose it might have reached down. It picked up the book. Yes, that's exactly what the woman did, in fact. She picked the book up. Oh heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, and the jackknife straight into the middle of her back. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Mrs. Green, was the defendant, Mr. Saseki Natsume. Well, I never. It appears to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor, in the dark and the fog. He didn't see the knife falling on her from above. From the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. But there never was a real culprit to run this case in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that accumulated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind the case. Have we done it? No more objections. No more twists. No more inconsistencies. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garzeb, I think we're done here, right? The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. There, old bean. Oh, Mrs. Garzeb. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw all the book, and I threw the knife as well. John, dear. It's alright, I know. I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry! Oh, she's fading. She's gone. She's standing on the box. Oh no, he caught her. Oh goodness. He's not the strongest as he used to be. Oh, he fell too. He tried. Oh, he tried. What a series of unfortunate accidents it all was. Maybe our next case is real murder. Oh, I mean, our last one was a real murder too. A lot of people died in that one. Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Gerd? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There's no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could have easily been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their action. There is some good news, however, my lord. I've just word that the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we never met her once. How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Saseki Natsume. Yes! On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with an unmeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it was me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young man would just collapse on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again, in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable B said the same thing, didn't he? I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been a year since I arrived in Great Britain, and I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog like they're haunting me. Poor Saseki-san. His imagination really got to the better of him. Yes, poor man. But when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirit. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires, and for that I am truly sorry. One could indeed say that sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here today. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befuddled by the spirits that led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks, our young lawyer here in the Far East, that chain has now been broken, and the spirits exorcised. Oh, I guess my throat. I heartily commend you both. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask you one last time for your decision regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in her own being while she's out of action, you know, but I know what her decision would be. That doesn't mean I can finally be able to get out of here and start work. Well, it's just about time. Oh shit, I'll have a courtroom restored to grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decision. Mr. Foreman!
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad to hear that glimpse of Mr. Garrett's voice, because I think I was right along the lines. Can't say I was spot on, but I was along the lines. Very well, Mrs. Sasaki Natsume. I hereby pronounce you not guilty. And there we go. Finally finished that case. And this one took so long. I thought I was so close to finishing it so many times. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh yes, Lord Sir. You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. I hope not. Oh yes, sir. Thank you, of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in the courtroom again. That's what it is. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. Oh my goodness. Wow, that was really long, to be quite honest. I don't know how much left is in this very last part. You want? I'll try my best to finish in the next 7 minutes. 20th February, 3:17 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, locum. Wait, you mean me? Of course! Is there another locum here? Is there even one? Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire, your name has become quite rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last. Oh, at last! I'm free! I'm free! Joyous, jubilation. Witty, hearty, happiness. Hurrah! Oh, I am pleased, Mr. Natsume is delighted. Would it be so hard just to say that then? Locum, you did it! You saved me from the brink! Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, not that. Lovely, loyal, locum, lawyer. Yes? I mean, as I said before, I've just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down on me laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you locum's lawyer gave me gloom the boots. You stood firm behind the burial bench before all those baffling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare to baffling truth. When I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roofs, I bellowed. Behold, the best barrister ever born. Well, that's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? Is that what's to become of all of my old hard work? Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I am here, not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh. The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruto. I shall wish you the very best of luck. It's just finished. What? No? Then my haste has been vain? Arg! It's you! Her luck, Sholmes. Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in gloom, either of your bleaking lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, her luck, Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you peace of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned the poor young lady and ran off, are you not? She had been taken to the hospital more urgently. I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. He has nothing to say. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind that now. What was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I am sorry, really, but that was quite priceless. Poor Saseki. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the Reaper. Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will be all right, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears to try to make any trouble, I'll protect you. What? Why did you? Why on me? With the perfect executed Susato takedown. Much as I liked being turned on my head, a bit of a warning might be nice next time, Mr. Sato. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan? Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh! It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops, and I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city has shaped. And I've come to realize that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Oh, and perhaps let's veil terms. You wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all. The more I learn of literature, the more of this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen at work on my own. I see. A work of literature by Saseki-san. Could be an interesting read. What about you, Mr. Sato, and yourself, Mr. Naruto? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustache compatriots? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in the hotel at present, are you not? That's right, we need to find lodging before it bankrupts us. Calculated, we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, You can take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room. Ah, but Portland lacks in windows. It's more makes up for the floors and ceilings and walls. Great. And of course, I'll be happy to leave behind their cursed evil spirits. Oh my, an evil spirit? Oh yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an ineffable wake-up call. I have a story about that, but I can't bring that up now, unfortunately. Maybe if someone reminds me. Well, think about it if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of the price. Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no lodgings to speak of. Oh, how very nice. Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to a lodging in the great detective's office attic. I'm too overcome for words. So suggesting we look somewhere else is out then. Then it is settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say. But thank you, and yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for the formal release. Mr. Natsume, I shan't take long. Somebody's happy. This must be your dream. Locum. I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you here. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day. I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruto? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I have little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. Please, I hope he doesn't die. And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. Alright guys, we're gonna have to end it here. This has gone way long enough, to be quite honest. I know there's probably another minute or two left in this chapter, but I've been going on for this video has gone quite a long time. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and until then, I will see you all later. Goodbye.